Hi, this is the class for information system development. And in this section, I would like to explain about the social login. As I mentioned in the class, there is no time left for explaining this social login. Meanwhile, you need to prepare for your team project presentation. So let me just make a video. Let me create this video so you can look at this video. If it is helpful for your team project, then you can use it as well. So I would like to explain this social login. What is the definition of the social login and how we can connect with the social app, and as well we are going to check the examples. What is social login and how, if we want to connect to the social app like Google or Facebook or GitHub, and how we can create a generic view with the existing template. So this is the structure. When you create a social login, you need to know that the social login means all the things related to the social media, like Facebook, or in the previous days, we have the Google Plus, and then we have Twitter, we have LinkedIn, we have other kind of social app like Amazon, Salesforce, and etc. And what we are going to do with this social media, actually they have their own way to log in, and they share the way to log in. We call it the social Auth app Django, and it contains the app content, or there are also some other kind of logs. We call it IIS logs. There can be the authorization tokens, or there can be another kind of app for the log system. Yeah. So if they provide this one of these items, then you can use this for the social Auth app Django. And most of the social media, they have the app service front end. So it is useful for you to use it. And at the web app code, okay, you need to find out what is the way to connect with Django. Let's say if it is to Google, then you need to have the social authorization, Google authorization. If you have Facebook, then there will be another web app code. So you need to mention what is the web app code that you want to use. And later on, after you finish with the environment, you need to connect with the system. So this flow will be the one that we learn in this section. So the OAuth token, this is one of the authorization. I can say it is the authorization library. Okay. So the step will be something like this one. You can see the number. Okay. The number one means there is the client will connect to this OAuth provider, and this will give the authorization for the client to connect to the API. So the number one and the number two, if it is authorized, then it will give the token, and then the client application includes the token either as an authentication header or query parameter in a request to the API. So it will check if it is validated, then the validation will return back to this mechanism so it can connect to the API. And once the API is confirmed, then we will return back to the client to give the response. So in the number four, nowadays there is one library, we call it the Oauth 2.0 access token enforcement. It used the external provider policy. So once we have the validated token, then we can continue to connect to the respective API. And the API will respond to the client application. So this mechanism has been available in many kind of system. Let's say if you use in our university, you use your Google account or you use the Half email address, you can access to the Google account. So that's also one of the application of the Oauth token. So for our example, okay, we will do this social login with Google, okay? But actually you can also implement with the other social login like Facebook, or you can use GitHub, okay, with Django application. And we need to install social Auth app Django. Okay, so we can run the command prompt with this part. But instead of the command prompt, let me just use in the PyCharm terminal. And let's make a new project and let's make the name as app with social. So I will make a new project, okay? And I will make a new Django project. In this case, I will make app with social. And I want to connect with the my Python interpreter. And if you already have your interpreter, I think it is automatically checked, okay? And then I will create this one. So this information, I think the first project, I think you are familiar with this project information, like we have the project name, and then we have the basic Python files like manage.py and then urls.py, and we have the settings.py, okay? And we have the folder templates to place the HTML file. Now I want to continue with installing the social Auth app Django. Okay, so you can copy and paste this one, and I would like to open the PyCharm again. You can go to the terminal. Okay, so this is the terminal, and in the terminal, okay, so you can check the terminal here. So when you click the terminal, then you can just copy and paste the command pip install social auto app Django, and it will install all the dependent libraries for the social Auth app Django. Okay, and after you have this first step, now I'm going to create my fuse.py. So the fuse.py, I think I will just put it into the parent folder, not the parent folder, but it's in the folder. I will copy this one, and I'm going to make this into the here app with the social. You can make a new Python file. This will be fuse.py, and I will paste the code here. So here I will make a function home, and it will connect to the index.html, and then this is logout. So the authorization will give the sorry, it will give the logout validation once you log out from the from your web page. Okay, after we create the fuse.py, I'm going to update the urls.py, so you can modify the urls.py. The way to modify, okay, you can use this part. Okay, I will copy this code, and then you can go to the urls.py. So here you have the original code for the urls.py. You can update this one. You can just modify all with the new one. Okay. So here is the code. Now I'm using the login view, and yeah, I'm just using this one, and I will connect later with the login.html. There is also another function, logout. You can just go to the views.py. We have the logout request. Yeah, it is correlated. And in the settings.py, you need to add one of this library, which is the social Django, and you need to put it into the install apps. Okay, so I will add this one, and you can go to the Django here, and then you go to the settings.py. You will do this social Django. Okay, so for this one, it will call the social Django library, so it will be able to connect to your social media. In this case, we will try to connect to Google. And after I update the settings in the install app, so you need to add two more lines. This is the two lines that I would like to use. The first is the backend. See, the backend means I would like to do something more when I develop the backends, and it can be correlated to the information in the social media, which is the login information, and I will use the login redirect. So if for example, the Google Chrome log into the social media, and if it is still logged in, then we can just redirect it, or you can just keep in the session, so you don't need to log in, log out, log in, log out every time you want to access the web page. So I'm going to use this social Django, and you can put it into the templates and the context processor. So in the settings.py, you can go to the templates, and then you have the context processors, and you put it here. Okay, so there will be two additional lines in the context processor. After you put the social Django, now this is the authentication backend. Okay, I give you several options, like this one is OpenID out. This OpenID, it is for one of the website related to the OpenID. There's one website. If you want to use this OpenID, you can use it as well. Or this Google OpenID, I think it has been deleted, or it has been removed by Google, so you cannot use anymore. So yeah, if in the case of the old version of Django, it might be helpful. Okay, and then I will use the Google Auth 2, and you can use GitHub. Okay, so I share this code. If you want to use GitHub, then you need to use this backend information. If you are using Facebook, you need to use this Facebook backend information. Okay, so I will copy and paste this one. In this case, you need to make it into the settings.py, and you just make into one, let's say I want to share it in this part. Okay, so I will make this authentication backend. So this is a separate part from other sections. It is only related with the social media login. And after you have this setting, we need to put the Google API. What is the meaning by the Google API? So I'm giving you this code. Okay? So I expect you just copy and paste this one, and you can paste maybe after the authentication backends, you can paste it into your settings.py. So here, if you can see, it requires the social auth Google Oauth ignore default scope equals to true. So it means we don't need to use the default. Okay. In this case, we will use the Google Plus later. You can see if I connect to the Google, how we can do with the Google Plus. And we want to check based on the user info email and the user info profile. This is about the Google Oauth. And we also need to connect to the Google Plus because the social media in Google, actually they are connected with the Google Plus. And we need to use those two API equals to true in order to connect later. And yeah, in this setting, we need to put the login redirect. It means when you already log in with your social media, you will go to home. Okay. And there are two other additional statement, which is about the key and secret. What does it mean? In this case, if you are entering your web page, you will go to home directly. And for this key and secret, we will check it later. Okay. So we will check how we can do with the Google ID. Okay. So I will be back here, paste the client key and paste the secret key after we do with the Google developer. So how to get the client key and the secret key? So the developer side, like Google, Facebook, GitHub, they always provide this kind of client key and the secret key. And if you go to Naver or if you go to the Kakao, they also have this kind of client key and secret key. It is to make the security whenever you want to use the social media login, or if you want to get a kind of API, yeah, you need to have this key to make it a secure connection between your computer to their website. So in our case, because I'm going to use the Google, for the SNS login, it is necessary to generate the app ID and the app secret. So this is the link. Google have the link to connect with the developer console. They call it the console developers.google.com. Okay. Because I already have my own ID, so I think my first page will be different with yours. So if you are the first time to enter your developer web page, there might be some question about where is your country, and then you need to agree with the term of service, okay? And you can just click what you want to agree with this term of service. So I will go to this console. Okay? I will go to this console. And yeah, I'm going to sign in with my ID here. Oh, okay. So I'm entering my dashboard. Now you can see that I'm in my dashboard about this Google Cloud Platform because I already set the term of service. Okay? So if you are the first time to enter this Google Cloud Platform, you need to agree and then try to figure out to see this kind of service. So in the first, I think you will see nothing. Okay, so you will see like this one. You can select a project, because if it is the first time for you, of course you cannot see any project. Okay? So you need to create a project. Okay? You can create a new project. Let me see. In my page, there is no such create a project. So I need to go to this section. So if I open this select project, so there are some projects that I already have. So in your case, you need to make a new project. So I can also make a new project here. So let me make a new project. And the new project will automatically give you the project name. If you don't have any specific project name, you can just use the project name given by the Google Cloud Platform. You can see here you have 9 projects remaining in your quota. So it means, yeah, if you are using for free, it is limited. Okay. Now I'm going to create my own project with this ID. So I will just continue with 89722. This is very unique. And the location, let me just skip this one. Let me just create it. Now it creates a new project. Okay, it is based on the Google API plus Google API, and then it will enable my service. Okay, so I will select this project 89722. So the project now has been selected. So if you see this part, okay, it has been selected. My project now, I just created a new project and it is selected now. So after I create the new project, I need to enable the API. What is this API? So because this is the SNS login, so you need to connect to the social media that Google has created. Previously, Google has a social media named Google Plus. So you need to enable it in order to be able to connect with the social login. So you can go to the enable API and the services, and then you can check the Google API, and then you click enable on it. Okay. So you have the my project, and then you can go to this enable API and services. Okay. So you can see there are many of Google services here. You can have the Maps SDK for Android, Map SDK for iOS, and etc. So they have a lot of API that you can use for your information system development actually. But because of the time limitation, I cannot explain all. So I'm going to use this social. Okay. So actually in the social media, they have the Google Plus API, Blogger, and etc. I think I will use the basic one, which is the Google Plus API. When you click the Google Plus API, you will see the button enable. So make it enable. So later on, you will be able to connect from your site to your Google account. It requires some time. So I think, yeah, it has been enabled now. And let's wait for some time. Yep, now the Google Plus API has been enabled. And if you already finished with this step, you can go to the next, which is about creating a new client ID. Okay, this client ID is necessary even though you have the project, but if you don't have any client ID, then you cannot connect to your project. Okay? So we need to make a client ID, or this is the authorization client ID. So whenever your website connect to this ID, it will be verified. So we need to make the credential. Okay, the credential means you will need to make your ID and password, and you need to select the Oauth client ID. Okay, so let's go. So you can go to the credential. Okay, there's a credential here. Okay, you can click the credentials, and then you can create the credentials here, and you can select the Oauth client ID. You can select here one. Okay, there will be a consent here, so you need to agree with this one. To create an Oauth client ID, you must first configure your consent screen. So you need to agree with this one. And okay, let me check. I guess you need to agree with this one with the external. Okay, so first you need to configure consent screen, and then this is using the external because we are going to use Django, and Django is an external test. Okay? Because it is you are using the Google account, but the application is not based on the Google, so it is based on the Django. So just use the user type, which is the external, and you can create it. And in this stage, you need to define what is the app information. Okay? Yeah, there is no specific name for this one. You can just define, let's say, the app trial. Okay. Yeah, you can define any app name for this one. The supporting email, um, you need to fill in this email. Let's say, yeah, this is my email. So you can just choose your email. And for the other part, I think it's not necessary. Okay, this is also about your contact. Okay, if there's any issue with the application, then they will contact you. Okay, I will just use my email. And let's say, yeah, just use this one and save and continue. The next is you need to express the scope. Okay? I think you can just skip this part. Okay? You can just continue. And the test users, you can also continue. Okay. And after you have those first application, okay, now we can create. Okay, when we can create an application based on this Oauth client ID. So we just have our Oauth consent screen. So now let's make a credential. Okay, let's make another credential with the Oauth client ID, because at the first time we need to, yeah, we need to complete that this Oauth consent screen. Okay. So in here, I would like to make the web application. What is the web application here? We need to make we can make web, you can make Android, you can make Chrome, iOS, and etc. In this case, I want to make the web application. Now, there is a kind of additional information, what you want to use for this information. You need the web client. Okay. You need to define what is your origin URI. URI means the Unified Resource Identifier. Because your website will be in the local host, you can use the information 127.0.0.1. And also, when we have this redirect URIs, okay, so we have the information how we can complete the authorization on the Google. So you need to put those two in the web client information. So here is the already in the name web client one. So the first add the URI. The URI here, you can just copy and paste. This is the local host that you are going to use. Oh, sorry. So you need to fill in this one. This is the website that you are going to connect with the authorization. And then you need also to put the authorized redirect URI. The authorized redirect URI means you need to use this Google Auth in order to verify your ID or your Google account in this Google. Okay, so those two are necessary. So after you save it, you can see your client ID. So you can create this one. After you finish it, then now you can see this is your client ID and this is your client secret. Yeah. So you can copy this one. Okay. You can copy this client ID and you can copy it into your this one, the key. Okay, paste the client key. So you can paste here. This will be your key in order to verify your social login. And then what is the secret? The secret is the second one. This is your client secret. You can just copy this one, okay, and then you can paste here, okay. So you have the client key and you have the secret key. So if you finish with this copy and paste, you can click OK. Okay. If you miss this one, you can still use this client ID. You can go here. You can click. Okay. You can click and then yeah, you can get the okay. You can get the ID and you can get also the client secret. So you can still copy it from this web application. Okay. So after you have this, then I guess you can continue with the Google login. Okay. So in this case, this is the information that you can look at into the details if you want to know the client ID and if you want to know the client secret, you can just click and it will show it to you again. So after you paste all the information into the key and secret, now let's make the index.html. The index.html, it should be located in the template. Okay, there are some part. Okay, the first part is the first one and this is the second part. Okay, let's see. You can make the templates. Okay, you can make a new HTML file and let's create index.html. And then you can paste the code, the first code, and then this is the part one. And you can also paste the part two. Okay. So this is just for testing. Of course, if you want to use for your team project, you need to modify it as your code. Okay. Now, in the final step, you need to do the Python manage.py migrate. Okay, you need to use this one so the Google Auth will work in your system. So the way to use the migrate, you can go to the terminal and then here you can paste the Python manage.py migrate. And you will see that all the things are verified. Okay, so they use this one. Okay, everything is okay. So let's see. Now let's execute our system. Okay, so let's execute it. Okay, I will go to this site. Let me open this. Okay, I want to log in with Google. Okay, so this is just a very simple web page. I want to log in with Google. So there will be a pop-up here. You would like to continue to the app trial. So the app trial is the name of the application that I just mentioned when I created the application in the Google developer. So I'm going to use this email, my email address. This is email address. Oh, okay. Yeah, because my Chrome is connected with the Google, so it's automatically connected with this blog. Okay. So you can see now it has been logged in as my ID. This is the ID name. Okay. So you can log out. Okay. Here there is a log out button. So if log out, then you will just log out from your session. Okay. So that's all what we can do with this social login. So you can connect their web page to the Google, and Google can give you the authorization if you are the person who have that ID, and if you enter the correct password, then yeah, you can connect with the social app, or you can connect your web with your Google account. So you don't need to register, you don't need to make your own username, you don't need to create your own password, but you can just use your existing email address to uh, enter your web page. Okay. Okay, that's all what I can share about this social login. So thank you for watching this video, and hopefully you can make a good presentation for your final project. Thank you and have a good day.